Alright everyone, give you guys all a chance to kind of get logged in here, see if everything's going good. Hey, thanks for joining us. I'm going to give everyone just a couple minutes here to get logged up in here. But I'll start flashing this up. What I usually do at the beginning of every broadcast here is just putting up my Twitter and Periscope handles, and this is also my handle for most of the other social media that I do. So if you have any questions afterwards, feel free to get a hold of me on Twitter via the handle. And then also, if you missed some of the broadcasts, go to my website, wildlifebiogal.com, and you can find links for all sorts of, yes, hello there from Florida. Glad you can join us. I always like it when people tell us where they're from. It makes it seem that much more global, awesome. But yeah, so with the Wildlife Biogals, just go to those links and you can follow, Periscope, YouTube, SoundCloud. Like, I'll put all these up for people to be able to see on there, and there's also links to Twitter and other things like that. So in case you missed part of it, check that out. So today's Periscope chat is going to be about NAOC 2016, which is the North American Ornithological Conference that happened last week in Washington, D.C., which was absolutely amazing. Hi there from Belgium, glad you could join us. And for today's chat, I want this to be as much of a discussion as possible, so feel free to have those questions coming in, all the time. I don't want to be just here chatting to you guys. I want you guys to be actively involved in this discussion, because I think there was a lot of really good things that happened at NAOC. There were some things that could be improved, and there was also, I think, something that definitely we need to 100% work on, and so I'm going to talk about that as well. So let's make this a fun and lively discussion, and I will be here until we get all the questions answered. And if you guys have other thoughts afterwards, definitely, as I said before, feel free to contact me afterwards. So NAOC, great time, awesome time, amazing time. It was my first ornithological conference I've ever been to. I'm usually go more to the wildlife side of things, or to Great Lakes research kind of stuff. Even though my main focus of my research is mute swans, I've always looked more at the ecological side of stuff, and not necessarily just looked, to the fact that I'm actually researching something that's an avian species. So this was really enjoyable for me. It was new. I got to meet a whole bunch of really great people that I wouldn't have otherwise, that I don't normally cross over in the worlds of research that I cross with. So, I mean, some amazing, amazing people. There was over 2,000 people at this conference, which we were told was the largest ornithological conference that had ever happened. So that was great to see that many birders there, ornithologists, whatever they want to classify themselves at. It was great. So yeah, definitely just large size. But what was really good with that, a lot of times it didn't feel like there was 2,000 people there. It could feel like a very intimate conference. I've been to some conferences where there's been as little as 50 people there, anywhere to other times where I've gone to mid-range conferences where there's been 800 people there, to I've been to some very large conferences where there's been about 2,000 people like this. And I have to say, with the location that I was at, we were at the Washington Hilton in DC, and they did a good job of most of the time making it feel like there wasn't 2,000 people there. You got to really get to know people, and that was really amazing. Like, all the people that I felt like I made some really good connections with while I was there. The science was amazing. It was such diverse science within that field of ornithology, and it was just great to see all the amazing work that people are doing. Definitely check out, the science that was happening at NAOC, whether it's, via people's Twitter accounts. You can look online and see some of the periscopes I did, because we periscope some of people's talks. Check those out. I mean, look to see the papers that will be coming out from all this research that people are doing. I mean, some great research. So, I mean, there's some real crackers of some scientists there that are doing some awesome work. So, yeah, I mean, just great work. But yeah, definitely check out all of that. The location was amazing. I hadn't been to Washington, D.C. since I was just a wee little tyke. And so it was great to be able to go around there. One of my fun times was getting to go with a PhD student that I know really well, and another PhD student who's actually Canadian, getting to show him around our nation's capital, which was a fun time. But yeah, it was, we walked around, showed the White House, monuments and things like that. So it was good to be able to have such amazing venue to be able to have the conference at. Because while, yes, we have conferences and stuff in a lot of really great cities, this is, I think, probably one of the premier cities to be able to have your conference in, because especially when we had people coming in from all over the world, it's really amazing to be able to showcase what we have here in the United States, and what better place to do it than Washington, D.C. I wish I had more time to go out and explore. Unfortunately, I was so busy with the conference that there wasn't too much time except for that one particular afternoon to go out for a couple hours. But yeah, if you get a chance, I mean, Washington, D.C. is a great place to host a conference, and there's a lot of venues there that you could host your conference at, and I definitely recommend it. So one of the interesting things was checking in. It was the first time I ever got checked in via iPad before, and that was really amazing. I really liked that. I was impressed with the technology that they used for that, which is really good. The social media community was amazing. It was probably the most clicked in social media community that I've ever been a part of at a conference. They were really doing really well with a lot of live tweeting and everything. People were very receptive to the periscopes that I did, and I kept having people sign up, and it kept building more and more as people were found out about the periscopes I was doing. So that was really good to see. They're still tweeting about NAOC, so if you go and check it out, you'll see some of that on there. I have a quick question here from, I believe it's Engler J. How was NAOC regarding SciComm apart from Twitter, Facebook? That's a good question. I believe there were also people posting on Instagram, and beyond that, I'm not really sure. I paid most attention to the Twitter, just because between that and the periscopes I was doing, that was pretty much all I could handle. I did check out Instagram a few times, and I did see some things getting posted up there, which looks good, more of your visual medium with that. I don't know what else there was as far as social media, as far as, I know someone had posted something about a blog that was being done. I think that was Steve Dudley was posting a quick talk about the SciComm that was happening at the conference, and I think he put up a blog post about that, but other than that, I'm not 100% sure. So yeah, that would be interesting to check out. I'll have to look that up, and if you want to tweet me your handle and stuff, I'll see if I can get some answers on that. But yeah, that would be interesting to know what other things were used, because I've started using Snapchat, so I don't know if there are Snapchats that were sent out, or what other formats of social media were used. But yeah, that would be good to know. It would be interesting to know what other conferences are doing. Right now, AFS is going on, which is the American Fisheries Society, and it'd be interesting to know what kind of social media they're using. I know they're doing a lot of Twitter right now, because there is a lot of tweeting happening with their social fish thing that they have happening today, which, if you guys get a chance after this, go onto Twitter and look up the hashtag social fish, and you'll see everything that's happening with that right now, because they're doing a symposium about social media with scientists. So that's something really good to follow. I've got a question here from Rarebar MD. Anyone researching BMMA fish in fresh and brackish water environments causes brain disease in humans? I did not notice that, but I'll have to admit I didn't look up every talk that was happening, just because if I remember reading right, there was over 1,000 presentations. I could be wrong on that number, but I think that's about what it was. So yeah, that would be interesting to know. I'll have to look that back up and see what I can find out about that, because I have the all the yes, 1,000. Yes, there was a lot going on. I can't remember how many concurrent sessions were happening, but there was a lot of concurrent sessions happening. It was up into the teens, if I remember correctly. And it was just constantly going, and a lot of posters and other things as well. So yeah, I'll look that up and see if I can find an answer to that, if there's any of that, and then maybe hopefully get you in touch with who's doing that research. So yeah, the social media community, there was just a very hardcore group of us that were really tweeting, and we were trying to do a lot of live tweeting. Obviously I was doing the periscopes, so that was really good to see. Some of the bad, and if there's more good stuff I'm forgetting and someone mentions it, feel free obviously to comment on here about that, because going on 4 hours of sleep a night at this meeting, which was what I was averaging over the course of the week, I'm sure there are a few things I am forgetting. Oh, the food. The food was great. There was so much diversity of food there. I got to go to a Brazilian place. First time I've ever tried Brazilian. Absolutely amazing. Great little place. The Grill from Ipanema. If you ever get a chance, definitely go there and check it out. Really good food. Bear burger. You get a gazillion choices of whatever you want on your burger, which is good. For those of you who like your craft beers, which I am definitely one of them, there were a million different choices for craft beers around that area, so it was good to be able to have all of your good eats taken care of at the conference, because we all know that when we aren't sitting in talks, we want to get some good food to help fuel us through the rest of the conference. So some of the bad things, the size. I mean, while it was great to have that many people there, there were some times logistically that having that many people was kind of difficult. One of the things, the final night at the social that they had at the zoo, it was not set up very well to get that many people through the food line. It seemed like there were people in line for almost an hour for food. So just a few little things like that where there were some issues because of the size. Some of the things I think could have been handled better was some of the things that they let people know ahead of time. It would have been nice to know that we needed a wristband to get into the zoo for that social. We weren't informed of that until that morning. It was told on the plenary, so if you didn't go to the plenary, you didn't hear. And it was also released out on social media. And if aren't on social media, then you wouldn't have heard about that. You would have had to have had someone tell you via word of mouth. That was what was going on. So there were little things like that that I think could have been better communicated out, and I think that would have just been something that needed to be told via like ahead of time, like well ahead of, not just during the week, but that should have been communicated with the either social media or through the emails that were sent out to people way before they got to NAOC, so that way they knew that these were certain things that were going to need to happen beforehand. The other bad thing, which was obviously what I was talking about was a good thing, was the social media. So I got a quick question here before I get into that thought. What were your experiences with Periscope from the conference? I guess I was the only one. Any drawbacks? I believe I was the only one doing Periscope at the conference. I could be wrong. But I mean, when you have 2,000 people there, it easily could have been someone else, but I believe I was the only one. It was really good. It was nice to see it grow. Let's see. I did 19 different periscopes. Yeah, thank you for dealing with me while I counted there. 19 different periscopes while I was at the conference. So, and it slowly started snowballing as the conference was going on. So as more and more people were hearing about it, more and more folks wanted to do it. It was great. Not only did people were they receptive to just doing sit-down interviews. So I did several sit-down interviews with different scientists to talk to them about their research, talk to them about SciComm, talk to them about their academic background, so that way people could get an idea of what work it is they did, what they did to get there, and then how they use social media to help publicize that work, and how it also helps them navigate their academic careers and their research careers. So that was really good. We also did several talks where it was, several periscopes where it was someone's talk where they're actually presenting, which was great because so many people want to be able to see that research, but they're not necessarily there to be able to get there, whether it's because they don't have the funding to get to the conference, or family emergency happened, or whatever else that they can't get there, but they still want to be able to see someone's talk. And so this allowed them to be able to do that. And what's also nice with that too is that because I'll be able to put these up on YouTube, the scientists can then use these periscopes or YouTube videos kind of as an online CV. They can send this off to someone that's interested in their research, or someone that they're maybe potentially trying to get a job from, or maybe another academic position, maybe a master's student going to a PhD, or a PhD going to a postdoc. They can send this off, and so people can see that visual confirmation of their work, not just like, hey, just for instance, I studied mute swans. Well, here I can actually show me presenting my work on mute swans, so they can see, one, I'm very capable of talking in front of a crowd, and that here's my work. It's 15 minutes of me talking about my work rather than me trying to describe it in paper form, which I think would help a lot of people. I know I'm a very visual person, so it would be nice for me to be able to see someone do a presentation that way. And then I also did one of the plenaries, the first one with Jessica Meir, which wow, if you guys get a chance, go watch it. One of the best plenaries I have ever sat through. I mean, just very, very inspiring. Her story of going from being a little kid, always wanting to be an astronaut, to finally getting there. It's just, wow. I was impressed. There was a lot of us that we just came out of there just shaking our heads like in amazement of how great it was. So definitely kudos to the NAOC team for getting her there, and thank you very much to Jessica Meir for taking the time to fly up and present, because there were a lot of people there that really appreciated it. And the other plenary talks, I only made it to one other, Mike Webster's on Saturday. Very, very good. Some awesome research that he's doing. I didn't periscope it, but there were a lot of people live tweeting it, so definitely check out their live tweets on that. So I know I posted up, I think, several photos and things, and I think even maybe a video or a short video or something of some of his research that he was showing off. So it was like really good stuff. And then talked to the other social media folks about the other plenaries that went on. Oh, that reminds me, yeah, one of the reasons why I missed one of the plenaries is one of the good things about NAOC was the run that we got to do through the National Zoo on Thursday morning, which was a lot of fun, which I recommend for all conferences. This was the first conference I ever went to where we had something like that, where we'd all go for and do a 5K run. That was really enjoyable, a fun way for all of us who like to go out and run and be athletic and stuff like that to have a different way that we can bond together and have a unique experience. I mean, that's definitely a feather in my cap of 5K runs I ever got to do, getting to run through the National Zoo. So it was a lot of fun. It was hilarious watching all the people slowly stop, because like we all started running at first, and then as soon as we started seeing our first animals, you could see people slowing down to start taking photos of the animals as we were going through the zoo. And it probably was on record one of the most slow 5Ks ever, just because everyone was stopping and like, oh, let's go take a picture of this animal, let's take a picture of this animal. And so, but it was a good time, and I think everyone really enjoyed it. The only bad thing about that race was it was a little frustrating to find out that it was going to start a half hour before it was initially scheduled. So just little things like that, like I said earlier, were some of the planning and notification of changes of stuff would have been appreciated if it could have been done better. There was also the issue with notification of the abstracts early in their summer. It would have been nice if they could have stayed with the deadlines that they had set for themselves. I know there's a lot of frustration with people waiting to find out when the abstracts were. I totally appreciate that NAOC was trying to be able to get everyone who had submitted an abstract to present, and so that was the one thing that helped us be understanding of why they were going beyond the deadlines that they had initially set, is because they were trying to find ways to get everyone to be able to present. So we do appreciate that. It just was also frustrating too on the end that we weren't finding out when people were going to be presenting. So those were some of the bads. The other good thing was social media and SciComm. So we had about 2,000 or over 2,000 people at the conference. I just looked up a few minutes ago with the Periscope videos I did. We have over 1,700 views. So we almost doubled up the size of the conference with social media. So this was, for me, a big, huge experiment with Periscope to see how well this would work. I think we can easily say that works really well, and it's something that people want. It's something that people are very receptive to. So the fact that you can have 2,000 people there, and you can have another almost 2,000 people watching these videos is something that I think is going to be the way to go in the future of conferences. I know every conference I go to from now on, I'm going to see if I can Periscope, and Periscope even more than what I have, because I think people are really receptive to it. So yeah, if you're hosting a conference, definitely look into Periscope, because I think it's something that people are going to be really keen to use and take advantage of for future conferences. The one bad thing that we had or not the one bad thing, the one ugly thing, because I said we're going to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly, was diversity. We had a talk about women in diversity, which are diversity with women in science, which was really good, a great panel discussion, several women up there talking about their life through science, which was great. I did not Periscope it. There was some live tweeting going on about it, so definitely make sure you follow that. But we need to talk about more than just the diversity of women in science. We need to talk about all different forms of diversity. Not only people of color, not only those who are gay, bisexual, transgender. We need to cover all of that, and we need to make sure that we make everyone feel welcome to be a part of science, and to feel that not only do we want them to do science, that we want them to be there at these conferences and to make them feel welcome there. There was an incident with the first poster session where one of my colleagues was going around, and she noticed that there wasn't really anybody going up to people of color and talking to them at their posters, that they were just standing there with nobody there engaging with them. And she went up and talked to one of these students, and the student, were having a conversation. At one point in time, the student asked her, "Is it because of the color of my skin that nobody is coming and talking to me?" And to hear that just tore my heart out, because that should never ever be something that should happen at any sort of conference. I mean, I'm sure it has in past conferences, but this needs to be the last time that ever happens at any conference ever. We need to make sure that everyone who has science that wants to come and present it, that they feel welcome. And I have to say, I was really proud of the social media community at NAOC, because as soon as we found out about that, we made sure that the next night, because there was a second poster session, we went out and did our absolute best to help make every single person who is a person of color, that they felt welcome at that conference. I personally went out and sought out people that I could Periscope with to help them feel welcome. And I have to tell you, their science was some really, really amazing stuff and some cool stuff. And I feel bad for anyone who didn't step up to talk to them because of their perceived biases about things. And definitely you missed out on some really awesome science if that was the reasoning why you didn't go and talk to someone. I have to commend all the social media that happened that second night, because everyone was trying to highlight all the amazing diversity that's there in this science that those people are doing. And so it was great to see that response to it. And so hopefully that is an issue that we never have at any sort of conference that I ever go to. And I know it helped make me more aware. It's something that before this week, or this past week, that I might not have necessarily noticed, but by having that brought up to me, it's something that I will forever be looking for at conferences and try to make sure that I am aware of and help to do my absolute best to make sure that everyone feels welcome at a conference. So I personally challenged everyone at AFS this week to go up to at least one poster that is a person of color, and I will keep challenging every conference that I hear of and every conference that I go to, that each and every one of you go up and talk to someone. Don't let, maybe the potential of a rough conversation with someone because you think, oh, well, they're, from another country, it might be hard to talk to them in English. You're going to really miss out on some really interesting stuff. And so go talk to folks, learn something. Your mind's going to grow by talking to people that you don't normally interact with, and it's going to help make them feel more welcome. And it's great, you might end up with a new friend in science that you can then have and be able to talk to about stuff. So that was my one really ugly thing that happened at NAOC. And so while it was unfortunate, I'm really, really proud of everyone for the response to it, and I hope it's something that we can use as a way to grow in science, and that way we can continue to make everyone of all different diversity backgrounds feel welcome in science. Because I can only imagine if someone didn't come up to me because, with me being a woman or whatever reason it is, that they never even gave me or my science a chance because they had some preconceived notions of who I am and what my science would be. So, you guys have any questions about NAOC, anything that you want to discuss, things you want to know about NAOC? I'm open up to any questions about it. I think Engler J says, very good point, thanks. How many countries were represented? I don't have that exact number, but I know that there was a lot of countries there. I know there were people from Chile, Mexico, a lot of places in South America. We had folks from Europe, Asia. I'd have to look back. I know that they had posted up a map showing up every country that was there. So I'll see what I can find out how many countries were posted there. But it was great to see. I mean, even though you're talking about North America, to see how many different countries were showing up there. Let's see, what else? It seemed like there was something else I was gonna talk about too. I can't remember offhand. It'll probably be something I'll think about 10 minutes from now and then post up online. But yeah, it was really good. If you get a chance, if they do NAOC 2020, I highly recommend it. I'm sure they're going to be looking for volunteers to help make the conference even better. So be on the lookout for if you get called to help make the conference better. If not, if you don't feel comfortable with that, definitely think about presenting research there. It was a great time, an amazing place to network with. I came away with so many new friends from there, new colleagues. It was amazing also to see how small that world was, even though there's 2,000 people there, how many people that they either already knew of me or knew of me, or knew a colleague that I knew. So it was really interesting to see that somehow science always is a really small world. It was also very interesting too, like this is another reason too why social media is such a good thing. And if you guys ever get a chance, I don't have it right here right now, but on your name tag, make sure you always are putting your Twitter handle on there. There was a couple times when I had people coming up to me towards the end of the week because they had been following me on Twitter. They noticed who I was and they're like, oh, can we get a picture with you? You're Wildlife Bio Gal, which was very weird to all of a sudden have social media groupies, but it like really shows you how social media will help get you recognized, will help get your name out there, will help you with networking. I end up having some great conversations with these people who came up to me because they noticed my Twitter handle on my name tag. So definitely make sure you always do that, because it led to some really interesting conversations that I wouldn't have had otherwise if, one, I was on social media, or two, if I hadn't put my Twitter handle on my name tag. People wouldn't have necessarily recognized me, because on my picture for my Twitter, I've got a hat with a light on, so you can see my face, but it's still always a little different when you see someone in person. But yeah, so definitely do what you can with Twitter. Make sure you're active on Twitter while you're at conferences. It will help people to recognize you then too and be able to follow you. Other than that, yeah, it was a really good time. You guys have any other questions? Fire away while I'm just trying to remember the few last things that I wanted to say and can't remember right now. I'm still recovering. I finally gotten a good night's sleep, but it's still, tough recovering from multiple days of lack of sleep because everyone was so amazing. But that was the other thing. So Steve Dudley, who was there presenting a poster, he went around to the whole floor and he was looking at everyone's posters to see if there was any sort of mention of social media on their posters. And he said that, if I remember right, that there was only 5 posters out of 100 some odd posters that were there during the one night that he was presenting that there had any sort of mention of any sort of social media. So anything like, where it had like their Twitter handle or any sort of icon saying, hey, we're on social media. And so that's a really missed opportunity by all of these people. I always try to put my Twitter handle and my website and all the different platforms that I'm on my poster or on my presentation to let people know, one, hey, I'm okay with you guys live tweeting this and doing whatever social media you want, but also too as a way to be able to get a hold of me. I think it's easier for people to quickly send off a tweet than having to try to remember your email and get a hold of you that way. I think it's a little bit more engaging with the Twitter. So yeah, definitely make sure that with your posters and your presentations that you're putting up your information about social media on there. And then also too, he said that the vendors that were there, also very few of them had any sort of social media on their stuff. And so I think it's a good idea for any vendors, or if you're going to be out there for a conference and running one of the booths, make sure that you put some sort of social media up there for people to get a hold of you that way, because these conferences really are becoming much more engaged with social media. Comment from Angler J: also put your Twitter handle on your manuscripts if you can. Yes, more persistent than institute emails. Yeah, I agree. That's a good idea. I've read somewhere that with some of the grant applications and stuff that are going out, they're asking people now for what sort of outreach or engagement that you're going to get. And this is a great way to be able to do outreach with not only other scientists but the public as well. Say something like Periscope here. Anyone can come and watch this. I can send this off to anybody in the public, and then they're going to be able to see this. And I think that's a lot easier than to just send someone just an email to be able to get a hold of someone. They can actually have that visual medium of which they can look at what's going on with the science. So yeah, definitely, yeah, that's a good idea. For sure. Like, I know at the end of just to go back to the archaic email, but I try to update it a little bit with having at the bottom of my emails now, I always have all of my social media platforms, so that way people can get a hold of me either via that email, or they can also hopefully click over to some of the social media platforms as well. Any other questions, comments about things with NAOC? So if not, I will try to get out all the periscopes that I did. I definitely did not have time at the conference to get anything up on YouTube or SoundCloud, but I always try to upload all the videos to YouTube, and then I'll take the audio off and make podcast out of them, so that way for those of you who don't have time to watch a video can listen to the podcast, you know, while you're driving to work or whatever it is. And then I also tried to put a gathering together of everyone that I noticed from NAOC that was either one part of the podcast, and I think it also would you guys appreciate having a listing of all the folks, all the Twitter handles that were part of NAOC. I think that would be good to be able to kind of like see how many people do we actually truly have engaged at NAOC. I think it would be surprising to see what the number of people there were. So that'll be something I'll look to do. So any questions, comments, anything else? If there's not much else, I think I'll probably wrap this up if you guys don't really have much else to discuss. I'll just say one last thing. I really encourage you guys to get involved with social media. It definitely made my conference experience that much more amazing. I got to meet a lot of great people because of it. And so I'm just gonna kind of leave the challenge out there for you guys. 2 challenges. First, I challenge you to get involved with social media in science. Follow that science Twitter community and whatever your particular field is for sure. And then definitely when you're at a conference, I challenge you to start live tweeting and get really involved with the conference that way. And then 2, the whole diversity thing that we're talking about earlier. Try to be more aware of what's going on with the diversity and your end of science, and do your best to help make everyone feel included. Science is more fun when we're all get to be a part of it and all have a good time enjoying our science. So challenge you all for SciComm and diversity. So with that, I'll sign out, and I can't wait to see what all you guys are going to do with those particular challenges. So have a good night, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.